A shallow victory tasted like rust and concrete dust. Adrian leaned against the rough wall of the mess hall, his heart still hammering a frantic rhythm against his ribs. He had outsmarted them, used their own brute force to create a diversion, a cascading failure in the steam tables that had sent guards running and inmates scattering. Intellect was the weapon. It had always been his weapon. A carefully calibrated mind in a world of blunt instruments. He watched the cleanup from a distance, a ghost in the gray-clad crowd. Guards shouted orders, their voices sharp and angry. Inmates were herded back toward the cell blocks. Razor was nowhere to be seen. Adrian allowed himself a flicker of satisfaction, a dangerous spark of pride.
He could map this place, find its stress points, its load-bearing weaknesses. Not just the concrete and steel, but the systems, the people. Every problem had a solution if you just had the right blueprint. His confidence was a fragile shield, and it shattered the moment he turned into the narrow corridor leading to D-Block. 4 men blocked his path, their shadows stretched long and hungry in the dim, buzzing light of the overhead fixtures. Razor stood at their center. A jagged scar sliced through his left eyebrow, giving him a look of permanent, vicious surprise. His smile was a slow poison spreading across his face. He cracked his knuckles, a sound like dry bones snapping.
"Clever," Razor said, his voice a low, gravelly thing.
"You made a mess, engineer. The warden wasn't happy. Means we can't be happy."
Adrian's mind raced, calculating. 4 opponents, confined space, no improvised weapons. His gaze flickered over the walls, searching for an exposed conduit, a loose pipe, anything. There was nothing, just smooth, unforgiving concrete on all sides. His blood ran cold. The blueprints in his head vanished, replaced by a primal, animal awareness of the closing trap. The air grew thick, heavy with the smell of unwashed bodies and cheap soap.
"I don't want any trouble,"
Adrian said. His voice was steady, a feat of pure will. His throat was bone dry. Razor chuckled, a humorless bark. Too late for that. See, in here, you pay for things.
You pay for a bed. You pay for protection. You pay for walking down the wrong hall.
He took a step forward.
And you, engineer, you look like you've never paid for a damn thing in your life. One of the men flanking Razor lunged. Adrian reacted on instinct, twisting his body, using the man's momentum to slam him into the wall. A grunt of pain echoed in the corridor. A small victory. It lasted less than a second. A fist caught him in the gut, driving the air from his lungs in a sharp, explosive gasp. He doubled over, stars bursting behind his eyes. Another fist connected with his jaw. The world tilted, the concrete floor rushing up to meet him. Pain was a white-hot nova. He was on his knees, the metallic taste of his own blood filling his mouth. The boot that had been poised to strike his head never landed. Adrian forced his eyes open. A man stood just behind Razor, almost touching his shoulder. He was older, with skin like worn leather and deep-set eyes that seemed to absorb the light. He wore the same gray uniform, but on him it looked different, dignified. He held a book in one hand, his finger marking a page.
"He's with me, Razor,"
the old man said. His voice was quiet, without threat, yet it cut through the tension like a razor itself. Razor froze, the shiv held tight in his fist. He turned slowly, his eyes narrowing at the newcomer. A flicker of something, not fear, but a grudging, resentful difference crossed his face.
"Cyrus?" Razor grunted.
"This ain't library business."
"Everything in this place is my business," Cyrus replied, his voice still unnervingly calm. He didn't raise it. He didn't need to.
"The man is with me. Let him be." For a long moment, the 2 men were locked in a silent battle of wills. The other inmates shifted nervously. Razor's jaw muscle twitched, a vein pulsing at his temple. His grip on the shiv tightened until his knuckles were white. Then, with a final, venomous glare at Adrian, he lowered his arm. This time, he spat, jamming the shiv back into his waistband. "Next time, old man, he's mine."
Razor and his crew retreated, their heavy footsteps echoing down the corridor until they were gone. Adrian was left on the floor, gasping for breath, his body screaming in a dozen different places.
Cyrus watched them go, his expression unreadable. Then he looked down at Adrian, offering a hand. Adrian hesitated, his mind reeling. The betrayal that had sent him here had made him trust no one. But his body couldn't refuse. He took the offered hand, and Cyrus pulled him to his feet with surprising strength.
Thank you.
Adrian managed, spitting a mouthful of blood onto the concrete. Cyrus simply nodded, his eyes scanning Adrian with an unnerving intensity, as if he were reading a schematic of Adrian's own soul.
Your diversion in the mess hall was clever,
Cyrus said.
But you see the building, not the prison. You see the walls, but not the architecture of this place.
Adrian leaned against the wall, a rib protesting with a sharp stab of agony.
I don't understand.
The real structure isn't concrete and steel.
Cyrus continued, his gaze distant. It's fear, debt, respect. That's the architecture you need to learn if you want to survive. You can't calculate it on a slide rule.
He held out the book he was carrying. It was a thick, well-worn paperback, its cover softened by the hands of countless readers. The Count of Monte Cristo.
A man can be imprisoned in a fortress.
Cyrus said, pressing the book into Adrian's hands.
Or a fortress can be built inside a man.
With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Adrian alone in the corridor, clutching the book. The weight of it felt immense. The smooth paper, the faint smell of dust and age. It was all alien.
Adrian's entire worldview had just been demolished. His belief in logic, in the elegant certainty of numbers and blueprints, was a pile of rubble at his feet. He had been minutes, seconds from being carved up by a thug, and his brilliant mind had been utterly useless. He was saved not by an equation, but by the quiet word of an old librarian. He was profoundly, terrifyingly vulnerable, and he was not smart enough to get out of this alone. Night locked Ironcliff down. The generators hummed, a constant low thrum that vibrated through the concrete floor of Adrian's cell. He lay on his thin mattress, the book from Cyrus resting on his chest. Every breath was a fresh reminder of the beating, a sharp counterpoint to the warden's smug words and Razor's snarling face.
The prison wasn't a blueprint. It was an ecosystem, savage and complex. Cyrus was right. He had been looking at it all wrong. He stared at the ceiling, tracing the faint water stains, trying to remap his understanding. Who was Cyrus? What did he want? Why help him? A faint scraping sound from the hallway snapped him to attention. He sat up, his muscles screaming in protest. He held his breath, listening. Silence. Then he saw it. A sliver of white paper sliding silently under his cell door. His heart leaped into his throat. He swung his legs off the cot, moving with a pained stiffness, and crossed the small cell in 2 steps. He knelt, his fingers trembling slightly as he picked up the folded paper. It wasn't a note.
It was a drawing, meticulously rendered in fine pencil, with the precise lettering of a professional draftsman. It was a schematic of the prison's old, forgotten drainage system, a network of tunnels deep beneath the island's foundation. And running through the heart of the complex map, a single tunnel was traced over in stark, blood-red ink.